because they recognize the fact that we need to be meeting with businesses that are here on a regular basis.
Sure. Right.
I know that obviously there have been some development at the Niagara Falls International Airport, some facilities there. I don't know where we are in the development process of another cargo facility, so I don't really want to talk about that. I know at one point we were close, not close, I don't know. But as when we're talking about the industrial park though too, I think that in and of itself, I don't want to change the topic, but again, back in 2003, 2004, we were paying some pretty hefty special district taxes on that land.
Okay.
We've now, by selling that land to companies that are willing to do business in Niagara County, we've managed to cut that down from, I believe, 300,000 plus a year to somewhere literally thousands of dollars a month. That's been obviously something that was a priority.
Any plans for your district? I mean, it's good if everything's in Sanborn and stuff like that.
Right.
It's still a county, but anything around here that you know of that wants to set up shop or?
Again, I have heard of a couple of things, but no, I don't. I hesitate because I know that the camera's running, so I don't want to put anyone on the spot.
Right,
And I don't want to seem as though I'm not.
So nothing has happened in the last 2 years, but only things in the pipeline, or what you want to say, or?
Right. I mean, from the counties, from our perspective and what we've, have we worked with companies in Lockport? Yes, again, I wish I had my list of all the companies that we work with, because I know that there are companies in Lockport that have expanded, and I know, in fact, I know that, of course, that's in the city. I was going to talk about that before.
We'll take that. Yeah. Rubber form, yeah. Okay.
Well, in fact, I had the opportunity to meet with the CEO of that company when I went out to Albany for the Unshackled Upstate conference, and I learned a lot about processing tires to make sidewalks. Right.
Yeah, we heard all about that. Yeah. What else you guys have?
Well, your opponent talked about county divesting itself of certain enterprises. Mountain View, of course, is closing for good or ill, and also the golf course, things that the county is running that private enterprise may be able to do better and put back on the tax rolls. What's your point of view?
Okay. Well, I'm assuming that he supported the sale of Mountain View, I would think.
Well,
he was more about the golf course, I think. Then.
Yeah. And he felt that the county dropped the ball on Mountain View, and it didn't develop a facility.
An assisted living facility? Well, that to me wouldn't seem like privatization or getting out of businesses that the government should not be in.
Well, I think his idea was that if the sale would have not taken so long, that it would have been done, and you would have been done with the whole thing long before the state came along.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so the criticism was of the way the sale was handled, but not the sale itself.
Right, I think he said he would sell it.
And he thought it should have
privately.
been sold, but there was just so much wrangling that it lasted so many years that eventually the state.
Well, that's a good point. So I'll touch Mountain View first, and this is, again, it's a complex issue, so I don't want to just gloss over it. Long before I became a legislator, I'm not trying to pass the buck. As you know, there were a lot of conversations regarding the fate of Mountain View. In fact, a friend of mine came to me and said, I used to work at Mountain View, and this was after we decided to privatize it. And I wasn't sure where she was going with this. And she said, when I first got hired there back in 1950, some odd years, we were told not to get too comfortable because it may be gone. And I went and actually sat in on presentations before I was a legislator regarding what should be done with Mountain View, and nothing ever happened. In fact, some of the people that were very vocal about their criticism of the eventual sale and privatization of Mountain View were in a position to possibly have done something if they had a different vision or a different plan. This was an issue that was very personal to me because, as you may know, I had a family member who was out there. I knew that something had to be done. People were asking for a reduction in the size of county government, and it wasn't just a few people. There were billboards that said, at least one billboard that said, reduce the size of county government. A lot of our public speakers have repeatedly given us that message, reduce the size of county government. So with respect to Mountain View, the plan was, as you know, to sell the facility to somebody who would be willing to run it and operate it as as a nursing home, the same type of facility. That way, the employees would be offered jobs doing the same exact thing. The residents would not be relocated, and the facility obviously would continue to operate. As you know, that was an initiative that was brought forward by the county manager. So I don't want to suggest that the legislature really created this plan. It was something that we supported, but it was an initiative of Mr. Lewis. It was something that he was very passionate about, and I think he's had some experience in this area. We've never really talked about it, that was my understanding. But anyway, we moved forward with the sale. Irrespective of what I thought would be in the best interests, well, I should say, I was about to say would be in the best interest of my family, but you know what, I was so confident that in Mr. Lewis's thoughts on this, that if we move forward to privatization, that there wouldn't be any change in the management of the facility, that I was willing to go along with it, and we did decide to privatize it. Here's the problem. The problem is that we looked at other alternatives. We offered the facility to the unions. They didn't want it. We offered to continue running it as a county facility if they made $600,000 in concessions. That, as you know, was rejected. I personally thought that was something that would happen. At the time that we came up with that agreement among the 19 legislators, that was what I envisioned happening. But we went forward with the privatization. The problem, though, is that as you know, the workforce is unionized, and there were a lot of issues with respect to the privatization. So while we were out there trying to market the facility, trying to find somebody interested in running it and operating it, I think that our market our abilities to market the facility were disrupted by what was going on with, kind of the backlash, right? The threats of lawsuits, et cetera, et cetera. It's difficult. How do you market a business? How do you market a business when you cannot promise prospective buyers that there won't be long, protracted litigation involved with it? I think that we were, to be candid, I think we were fortunate to find a firm or a group that wanted to not only pay us for that facility, but wanted to operate it, and who had a track record of running facilities in this area.
Right.
So there was some level of comfort in the notion that the facility would continue to be run in Niagara County. I thought it was a good fit. I supported it. I obviously take exception to anybody that says somehow the legislature had anything to do with the fact that the sale took as long as it did. I think there were a lot of factors that affected the length of the sale. This isn't, we're talking about the sale of a nursing home. We're not talking about, the sale of a motor vehicle. We're talking about licenses and certificates to operate these beds, among other things. And I think that we were moving at the right pace, but it wasn't, that long after we really started finalizing the contract for the sale that the Burger Commission was convened. And it was no secret that was one of the facilities that they were looking at. Did that have some, again, we're talking about things that might have affected the sale. Well, not only do we have this, the threat of litigation, but a commission that's looking at closing health facilities in Niagara County, do you think that has anything to do with the pending sale of your facility? Of course it does. I mean, because the group that was looking to buy it, they're well aware of what the Burger Commission's mission was. So that just added to it. And then, as you know, ultimately they recommended closure, just like they recommended the closure of a lot of facilities in Niagara County. And